Hey, good morning, everyone. How's it going today? Coach Alvarez here, back at you with another episode, Coffee with Coach. Hope you're up, doing well, got the mind in the right place. But if not, as always, let's put it in the right place on this awesome Friday morning. Today, I wanted to discuss with you guys, what I just shared with my team last night in our private group message, and I think this is going to be good for everyone that does jiu-jitsu. And even if you don't do jiu-jitsu, if you do jiu-jitsu, you'll be able to relate to this a lot more. But if not, I still think I can get this point across to where it can relate to everything. So let me put it in perspective real quick. So lately, I had a couple students, in conversation about their belt rank, out of nowhere, just be like, Coach, I want to be at this belt rank for 3 years or 4 years, and part of it seems like a joke, and then part of it is like serious, So if you don't do jiu-jitsu, when you first start out, you start off in a basics fundamentals class, and you're there for a while, and you see other people with different colored belts. Your first belt is blue for the adults, and then it's purple, brown, and black, okay? When you're new and you see all these other belts on the other side of the mat or in another class, in another advanced or intermediate class, you want to be a part of that group, because that's where you see where, that's where you see where the understanding of jiu-jitsu is at. When you're new, you're just trying to get a hold of things, understanding the concepts of jiu-jitsu and the mindset of jiu-jitsu, how it works and how the techniques come together. But after a while, you're like, man, I want to be on the other side or in that other class where those blue belts and purple belts are at. It always happens. Everyone in the basic fundamental side is always seems to be in a rush to get to the other side, to the colored rank side, right? But when we get to the colored rank side, then you have those students that realize once they get to that other side, how different it is, and now they no longer want the next belt rank. They want to sandbag and hang out in this blue belt rank or purple belt rank for 3 years or 4 years or brown belt for 3 years. And that's just not how it works. We don't live back in the era where, the mid 90s, early 2000s, where, you had to get techniques through Grappling Magazine in the mail or VHS tape. Okay, I literally had to order VHS tapes to get techniques. Besides learning from my coach, I would order VHS tapes and wait for those techniques to come in the mail. And I would order Grappling Magazine or Gracie Mag or whatever, and then you would see the techniques that they would share, like technique of the week or month or something like that, and they put it in the magazine, and you would learn the techniques that way. Well, nowadays, you just pick up your cell phone, and you can just, on any social media site, find jiu-jitsu. And it's so much easier, the platforms that we have now, to study jiu-jitsu, look at jiu-jitsu, like just whatever. It's in the palm of your hand at any time of the moment that you want it to be there, okay? So the learning curve has cut dramatically versus waiting for a VHS tape to come in the mail so that you can learn your jiu-jitsu. So when I have students that tell me, Coach, I want to be a blue belt for 3 years, I want to be purple belt for 4 years, what are we really saying here? What are we saying? Now, would you say, like I told the class last night, you go to college for your bachelor's degree, right? And it's supposed to be 4 years, okay? And when that 4 years is up, you take all the tests, you do all the exams, you stay up late, you do everything, all the hard work is there. But now it's time to graduate. And you're like, no, I don't want to graduate. I don't want my degree. I'm not ready for the real world yet. I'm not ready to go out into the real world and get a real job and go do what you're supposed to do. I'm going to do another 4 years of college just because I'm afraid to go to that next level. I'm afraid to go out into the real world and go do real world things with this degree that either you or someone else paid for and worked so hard for. And the same thing with jiu-jitsu. Like, you know, like that's not how it works. You're not going to stay at a belt rank because you feel like being at a belt rank because you're scared to go to the next level. You're scared to be purple belt. You're scared to be brown belt. Like I literally have students like that. They're scared to go to the next level. And a lot of that has to do with it's just lack of preparation. All right. And sometimes I have students that are there every day. They train very, very hard, but they're comparing themselves to other people they see on Instagram, YouTube, or maybe in their class or in their academy. And they don't feel like they're as good as those individuals are, so they don't feel like they're ready. But when the coach feels like you're ready, the coach feels like you're ready. You know, I was telling the class last night, like, I don't remember ever telling any of my instructors, I ain't ready yet. Don't give me that belt. That's not how it works. I don't tell the instructor, you don't tell the instructor when to give you or not to give you your next belt rank. But when you first start off, like you're super excited to get that blue belt. You want that blue belt. Like you can taste it. You can feel it. Like you can imagine it and picture it around your waist. But once you get to blue belt and past that, you realize, oh, yeah, maybe I don't. Yeah, this is harder than what it seems. This is a different level. There's different levels to each belt, and then you get students that are trying to duck the next belt rank. So last night I came down pretty hard on my students about that because that's not how it works. It's not how it works. When I say you're ready to go, you're ready to go. And that's it. You have to rise up to the occasion, rise up to the standard, rise up to your potential, and then just get after it. Okay? And I've had students like say, well, hey, coach, well, I didn't win any major titles or I didn't really compete at this belt. Whose fault is that? It's not my fault. It's your fault. Like, get after it. You're wasting time. You don't have much time. You have a certain amount of time for each belt rank. And if you're not showing up to, now let me get this straight. If you're not showing up to class, okay, then you're not getting any rank. All right, that's the difference. Okay, if you're missing, you're skipping class, you're not showing up, you're not putting in the work, you're talking during the rounds, you're not picking the right training partners, you're not really pushing yourself, you're barely sweating when you walk out of class, you know, then yeah, you're not getting anything. At least for me, you know what I'm saying? You know, my students have to go through the grind and they got to put in that work. Like I switched them. I make my students go with certain teammates that I know they don't want to go with because they're going to get pushed. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that iron sharpens iron to get pushed, to go to that, to get better is how we're supposed to do this thing, right? And a lot of places don't do that. You just pick whoever you want. And if you feel like being lazy that day, you can be lazy that day because the coach don't care because the coach is probably lazy. All right. But not this case, not where we're at. Like if I feel like you're being lazy that day, or if I see where you're trying to duck certain students, we're going to rotate and I'm going to switch you up. And I always get the eye rolls. I always get the, you know, why'd you show up? What'd you show up for? I tell all my students, once you walk in the front door, you clocked in. That's it. It's time to go to work. There is no, I'm going to base my jiu-jitsu on how I feel today. Okay. When you walk in, the feelings don't matter. How tired you are, what kind of day you had, or what your kids did to you, you know, spouse, whatever. You drove to the academy, you showed up, it's time to go to work. And in that case, with students that have good attendance, putting in the work, showing up to class, they're there like they're supposed to be. And when the time is there, they meet the certain requirements of the time and all the other requirements, then it's time to go to that next level. But you have students that say, Coach, I don't want to go there yet until they're like a year into the belt or 6 months into the belt. And they're like, well, I want to be here for 3 years. What kind of mindset is that? Okay. What kind of mindset is that? What are you telling yourself? You're going to go to college and be like, well, like I said, you're going to do the 4 years. You're going to do all the exams, do all the studying, stay up late, miss out on hanging out with your friends, families, you know, parties, whatever, because you're studying and you're working hard. And now it's time to walk across that stage and get that diploma. And you're like, nah, I don't think so. I think I'm going to stay in school and live in the dorm for another 4 more years because I'm not ready to go out into the real world and get after it. It's not the way it works. So for all you guys out there that are trying to, you know, that have that mindset, like you're trying to duck the next level, for one, if you're not even there yet, you're not even at that threshold of the time limit, you know, because for me, I go by the IBJJF minimum requirements, okay? Minimum requirements. So just because you get the minimum requirements in doesn't mean it's going to happen like on that day. Say for instance, blue belt. Okay, blue belt, you're supposed to be there for a minimum of 2 years. Okay, just because 2 years on that day doesn't mean you're going to get your blue belt on that day. It'll be somewhere around that area, a little past it, something like that. But to tell your instructor, like, I want to be here for another year, well, for what? Like, what are we doing? Are you planning on skipping class? You planning on being lazy? You plan on, or you're just trying to say you want to sandbag at this belt for a while to make yourself feel better, fill your ego up, win some tournaments at a belt that you shouldn't be at because you're supposed to be at the next one. Okay, that's not how it works. I was telling my students last night, like, whenever I got my belt, all my belts, blue belt, boom. Drove to Austin, did the first tournament that I could find. Okay, back then they just weren't available like they are now. Purple belt, same thing. As soon as I got my purple belt, went and competed. Now, if you're not a competitor, you're just not a competitor. But if you are, I'm just giving you the mindset that I had when I got each belt. I didn't wait a year to go compete. I didn't wait a year to let me develop my skills more. I wanted to see where I was at, like right away, like instant. Like I want to know what I need to work on. I want to know where the holes are in the game and what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So at each belt, I immediately found a tournament and went and drove or did whatever I had to do to go test myself to go do it. Okay. Brown belt, same thing. Black belt, same thing. I got my black belt in December of 2007, and the Pan American Games, IBJJF Pan Ams, were in March. And so 3 months later, I'm already competing at black belt in Pans, and I made it to the podium. I took second or third, I can't remember, but I went out there right away. There was no, hey coach, I ain't ready for my black belt yet. My coach gave me my black belt. He felt like, I was ready for that black belt. So it was my job to go in and produce and go show that, what he believed in me, I can go and do. Okay. So that's what I'm getting lately from some of my students is like a lack of belief, a lack of self-esteem, a lack of whatever, because some of them are like, hey coach, I want to stay at this belt for 3 years. For what? What are we doing? What's the goal? Just to sandbag to make yourself feel good. The goal is to try to do everything you can within that time frame, show up like you're supposed to, put in the work, help your teammates out, okay, help your coach out, by making the atmosphere what it should be, a hardworking, great work ethic atmosphere, and then go to that next level when it's time to go to that next level. Again, you don't do anything like that in anything else except for jiu-jitsu is where I'm getting at. You know what I mean? So like I said, you're not going to go, well, hey, now it's time to go to, you start off in elementary, and you go to junior high, then you go to high school. You don't be like, well, hey, I want to stay in high school. I want to stay in the 9th grade for, 4 more years. I don't want to go to 10th. I don't want to go to 11th. I don't want to be a senior. It's just what it is. It's progression. It's going forward. It's making moves. It's going to that next level. And again, what I'm getting from some of my students is a weak mindset. Okay, a weak mindset to where, they basically just want to sandbag is what they're telling me, So like I told them last night, if you feel like you need to do some tournaments and you want to accomplish some titles, then get after it. You feel like you need to train more, then train more. You feel like you need to get better, then get better by asking more questions, asking your teammates more questions, whatever. Anyways, just kind of going off on a little rant here because I just figured I'd share this because last night it just really got to me because I was having a conversation with a student and I was like, all right, enough's enough. Like there's just too much of this conversation lately where students are trying to tell me when they're going to get their next belt. When I give it to them, I'm just going to give it to you and that's it. And it's time to rise up. Like I had a student last night say, well, hey, because they're really just doing no gi. Okay, they were a gi grappler at a time and now they're not really training in the gi. And they're like, well, I'm not coming to gi, I don't want any rank. Okay, well, cool. Well, then I guess I have to do the Eddie Bravo style and just throw you a black belt in the no-gi then. Whatever I got to do, you're going to have to rise up at some point. You can't duck it. You can't hide it. Again, think about the mindset from it for a second of what you're saying when you tell your coach, I want to be at this belt for 3 years or 4 years. Okay, it's not a good mindset. Now, I gave the example last night. If I have a student, it's got 2 years, at blue belt, and Worlds is 6 months away, and the goal, and you have been training for all this time, like a year in advance or however long in advance to go win Worlds. Well, then, yeah, we're going to hold it off for a little bit so that you can go and attain that title, or at least try to go get that. But if you don't, then you got to go to the next level, win or lose. You got to go to the next level. You're not going to wait another year at blue belt to now make it like 4 years to see if you can go win Worlds at 4 years as a blue belt. Okay, it's just ridiculous. Okay, we don't live in that time frame anymore where it takes that long to get to black belt and everything like that. There's some standards there, there's some requirements in our academy, but feeding your ego and sandbagging is definitely not one of them. All right, guys. So what else are you doing in life that you're running from like that you're there, you're ready to go to that next level, but you're not taking the jump, you're not taking the leap, you're not going after it, you don't have that hungry mindset, that killer instinct to be like, yeah, put me in, coach, put me in. I want in on this. I want to go get after it. Okay. So to start off the weekend, to start off this Friday, if you have that mindset that you're running for something, or you're trying to stall something out, you're trying to hang on to something when you should be at another level, go to that next level, switch that mindset up, rewire the mindset to get to that next level, because at least being around me or hanging out at my academy is just a no-go. And I made that very clear to my students last night. So hopefully that's the end of that discussion of people coming up to me telling me how long they're going to be at a belt because they feel like hanging on at a belt. You want some titles, you want some wins, you want some certain things and be recognized that, then get up and get after it every single day. Go make it happen. Like I told my students, that's why I put it in the description. And that's not all my titles. It's just a chunk of them, but those are the main ones. Okay. I wanted the #1 black belt ranking for the Master 3. So I flew all over the world to go get it. I fought and competed against the best guys. I went and got it. I own that title. I wanted the Master Worlds title. Okay. I got 3 of them. Okay, I got 3 of them. I wanted the Nogi World title. I got 4 of them. American Nationals, I got 5 of them. I got a Pan. The list goes on, guys. I flew all the way to Australia because I wanted the Pan Pacific title. By myself. No coach, no teammates. Hopped on a plane, flew to Australia. Don't know how the results or how that was going to turn out. I just know I had a couple of fights and, may the best man win. And hopefully I can come home with that title. And I achieved that. Flew to Japan 3 times, lost twice, went the 3rd year, and then finally got the gold because I wanted it. I'm not going to wait and be like, well, like right now, what if I was like black belt, I'm a 3rd degree, been black belt since 2008, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have competed. I wish I had this title and wish I had that title. Well, I don't have to say that because I have them, because I got up and I got after it, set some goals, and, hopefully, making my first coach that gave me my black belt and the one I have now, Coach Bruno, proud because of the work that I'm putting in, versus, well, yeah, Alvarez never got out there. He ducked and hid and didn't want to do anything, and that's not how I wanted to be recognized or to be known. So I went out there and got after it, flew all over the world to go do what I had to go do to get what I wanted to go get, and I got it, and that's it. So not saying I'm done with anything yet, but for those out there that are ducking and hiding from things, get up and get after it. All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. Have a great Friday and a great weekend. We'll catch you on the next one.